So today I'm realizing that how easy it is to backslide into bad habits, um, especially when you're around people that don't like the fact that you are moving out of the habits. Um, yeah, so my mom and my aunt are regular fans of going and getting the daily Diet Coke or whatever. And for a couple years, I participated as well with my Dr. Pepper. Um, and I broke that habit back in the fall. Then I would try it on occasion, and initially it didn't even taste good. And then somewhere along the line, it just started getting easier to get back into it, even if it was just once or twice a week or whatever. And then that's like the more time I would spend with my mom and my aunt, the more likely I was to allow myself to go into the bad habits. And obviously I can't blame them for all of it because I did not have to ever go along with it. But I have at various times and various extremes. Mainly when I've been getting them lately, I'll like fill it to the top with ice and then just whatever on the drink aside from that. And Friday was kind of it wasn't an issue. I helped my aunt and my uncle move my cousin from one apartment to another. And I had my huge ass container of water, two of them, and that was all I was planning on drinking. But then when my aunt decides to stop because she just needs her unsweet tea, she had hers was a Diet Coke until she got the flu back in January, and then she couldn't stand Diet Coke either. But she'll have it every now and then. But it's not been I haven't been the one volunteering to do it, and usually I'll still avoid it where I can. Well, for the most part, until I'm around the not so healthy energies for long enough that it becomes a thing. I was reading a blog that was talking about the importance of making sure you clear your energy regularly, particularly on the twin flame path, as the more purging of the negative stuff you do, the more and the brighter your light shines, the more, well, moths to the flame, basically, trying to bring you back down into the the negative, the darkness, the heavy energies that aren't beneficial to anybody. I was feeling really kind of blah the past couple of days. And of course, I mentioned that on Sunday, the 28th, my sister-in-law's mom passed away. And then yesterday was my friend Tyler's birthday. And of course, he's gone. And I found that balloon at the cemetery and didn't know where it went. So since it was his birthday yesterday, it felt like it was meant to go to his grave. So since it was his birthday and I found it the day before his birthday, I put it on his grave. Of course, it was still there yesterday. And I was just feeling all sorts of heavy and gross the past couple of days. And I think a lot of people probably not be thrilled to hear you can pick up on others' energies, but that is, in fact, a very common thing. So I was trying to figure out how much of what I was feeling was mine versus how much I was picking up from the collective or whoever was around me, just from the past few days. And yesterday I was like, I gotta like clear my aura. This is not good at all. And my niece was over at our house. My parents picked her up from school, and then she was just hanging out because her mom and dad had taken her uncle and his fiance to Cincinnati for a baseball game, I think. But it was getting kind of late, and I mean, it was like 8:15, but on a school night. So my mom started thinking, well, maybe we should take her home and let her start getting ready for bed, so maybe she can enjoy her uncle a little bit more once they get back. And the way my family works is not ideal. Okay, I pulled these cards back in March, and they're from this archetype deck, and one of them was the Queen and one of them was the Castle, and they weren't right next to each other or anything, but they were together in the spread. And I think the Castle made note of pay attention if the Castle shows up in the same spread as the King, the Queen, or the Maiden, as there are issues of property at hand. And I didn't really know what that meant at the time. And it's kind of been, when I started to process it, I was connecting it a little slightly differently than how it hit me like the past couple days as I've been thinking about it. Well, mainly today. My mom and her sisters, and mind you, every week my mom and her sisters and their spouses and whatever the kids is around will go over to my grandparents' house. One of my aunts lives next door to my grandparents, and then my parents and I live a couple lots over, but there's an empty lot in between, and it is my grandpa's property. So we do a lot of bonfires and stuff over there. But my mom and her sisters have, especially here lately, been harassing each other about their staff, because like my one aunt would routinely tell her husband to do this or that, and so my mom and the other sister started calling her husband her staff, and then it started getting more and more clear how they all do it. And now anytime any one of them talks to their spouse or their husband that way, or their spouse or their kids that way, the others all jump in and start talking about the staff. And it's like, that's kind of a shitty way to connect with people, I think. And last night it kind of, it hit me real good. Mind you, I've been trying to follow the Abraham Hicks teachings with starting the day in high of a vibration as possible and trying to maintain that feeling as long as possible. And usually I do pretty good with it. But then every now and then, once I start the backsliding and going back into the bad habits, then it doesn't hold as long throughout the day. And last night it came up because my mom volunteered that we should take my niece back to her house so she could start getting ready. And then she says, Gracie, you want Sarah to take you home? It's like, wait a second, excuse me, what? It's like, I was not asked or anything on this. And while I'm not entirely opposed to it, I didn't want to because I knew that if we were going over there were automatically going to be messes with their two dogs, because however long they can hold it throughout the day, they always let loose of their bladders when they get all excited when my mom or I walk in. So, yeah. And it was raining, so it's like, I know how this is going to work. It's going to be me having to clean up a bunch of messes as soon as we get in the door, because the dogs can't hold still long enough to get leashed so they can go outside because they don't have a fence. So when my mom said, when she said that she wanted me to take her, she had no intention of going along. And I was like, no, this was your idea, you will be going. Forget it. If I'm getting roped into this, you are too. Because it was your idea. And, you know, mind you, I had been in an off enough mood throughout the course of the entire day that really all I wanted to do was take a salt bath and just get it out of my system and, you know, not be done with it. And I was planning on going and doing that when she volunteered that we should take her home. So that got delayed, which, I mean, it ended up being okay, but still. So we get my niece over to her house, and they left their dogs out all day, and I didn't see any messes like anywhere that I looked immediately around, and they met us at the door. But I wasn't going to go look and see if I could go out of my way to find stuff to clean up at that point. And we, of course, they get all excited, and the doodle, who I believe is 1.5 years, immediately runs over and jumps on the couch, ended up peeing on the couch and on a blanket, and then running behind the couch and just squatting and letting it go for real. And then the Basset was pretty good until we got to the back door, and then she just started leaving a trail. So I got to clean that. Well, I was dealing with getting them on their chains outside in the rain. And my mom was trying to participate because she knew I was annoyed already with the whole situation. And, you know, the Basset mostly went outside, but there were still messes to clean up in the house. My mom went and got the paper towels and went to the couch and got the blankets off the couch and was trying to mop stuff up while I was getting the dogs outside. And the Basset did her business, and the Doodle had already done her business. Oh, and it was a big hot mess. But it was kind of fun when I went to let them in, since they were all wet. The doodle goes flying in. And of course, first thing she does is step in the little pea trail that the basset had left that my mom hadn't realized was there, and goes sliding across the floor because her feet are already wet from outside, let alone from stepping in a puddle. So yeah, that was exciting. But we got back into the car, and I was like, well, that went exactly how I imagined it. And my mom just was like giving me a dirty look. And it's like, well, it's like anytime you volunteer us to do that, I already know how it's going to go, because there's always messes when we get there, because they're excited to see us and they can't hold it in any longer. Usually it was just my mom that they couldn't hold it in for, because I was going over there, and it was one of my little side jobs to potty their dogs for them. And then for the past year I haven't had to, because my brother's been able to take care of it. But yeah, so I'm not around as much, so now they get that way for me too. It's just like it would be another story if there was a backyard with a fence. There is no fence. So yeah. But I realized like how many of my bad habits I've allowed myself to shift back into, and I think it's largely in part because I have been around more negative energies again. And if anybody is unsupportive of trying to make positive changes, it's my family. They're like, especially my parents. So I've had to be very protective of my energy in interacting with them as well, because like whether it's just providing the stuff they know. Well, like cookies. My mom made peanut butter cookies the other day, and I'm fine without them. But then at the same time, it's there, and I'm already kind of in a bad mood. So then it becomes a thing, and it's just, so yeah, I need to stop doing that. And that article that I was reading was talking about the importance of realizing that not everything you pick up is yours. And especially as you do start trying to raise your own vibration higher, more and more of the negative energies will come try to pull you back into the mess, and then you won't even, half the time, don't even know what's going on. It's just suddenly there, and you're in a crappy mood and don't know why. But clearing it definitely does help. I did take a bath when I got home last night. Like, lots of Epsom salts, just get that whole thing out of my system, because I was just bleh. And probably need to repeat of that today, because I'm not in as low of a mood as I was yesterday. Because yesterday I started the day like when I woke up crying out of nowhere, and that continued quite a bit on and off. And it was just one of those days. It's like, I don't know why, but I want to just sit around and cry. And I mean, maybe in part because it was Tyler's birthday. Maybe in part because Clarice died the day before. And, this is my 7-year-old niece's first experience with the death of a human. She's had a dog that died, and my aunt has had some cats that have, so she's been aware of those. And then I've had like reptiles and birds that have. So the first experience with the human. And of course, everybody in the family always wants to think back to how traumatized I was when my great grandpa passed, because I was 7. And they kept saying, oh, it's going to be this bad for Gracie and blah, blah, blah. It's like, not necessarily. She's, not the same person I am. And there's the funkiest looking bird I think I've ever seen, strutting his stuff with his red feet and his like metallic red on his chest. So it was kind of funny looking. Anyway, but she's not the same person that I am, so it's not really helpful to just assume that she's automatically going to experience the things the same way any of us did. Whether that's a death in the family or bullying. There's been some of that. And my family is always worst case scenario, and then they want to focus on all these bad things that happen that support this or that and the other thing and blah blah blah. And it's so easy to get sucked back into. Especially if there's any kind of, planetary thing that's happening. The one blog that I was following talked about the wishy-washiness of Neptune and where Neptune was at currently, and being mindful of your energy because of that. I was like, oh, good. So that's something else I have to think about, right? So really, what is mine? I don't know. But here again, even when I skate, I do try to keep some things. I got my obsidian earrings and Shiva Lingam necklace today. The obsidian is a protective stone. So that one's useful for being around some of the negativity. But like, I have a couple selenite bowls now and some charging discs that I throw my bracelets on daily, and necklaces not as much. Bracelets and rings go in them daily. And it's just trying to stay on top of it while also I think maybe I need to write down what everything is for and then keep it kind of handy so I can kind of mix and match what I use. Like I wear most of it all the time, but like if I can't, then okay, like I'm not wearing my dangly earrings, but they're not protective stones anyway. So then the obsidian, I'm still wearing that. And there's my one earring is a tiger's eye as well. I need to kind of keep track of those and figure out how I can mix and match them for most effectiveness when I can't wear everything or it's not conducive to have everything on me. If I have my jean shorts on, then I normally will have my bag of rocks in my pocket, and I have black onyx, which I also have in my nose, sardonyx, septarian, and rainbow obsidian. And I also have carnelian and red jasper. And the red jasper I just put in there today because I was realizing my necklace needed to be cleansed too. I don't focus on that one, and that one's usually the one I wear to sleep. So yeah, it's just kind of being mindful and keeping track of what I'm doing. Not allowing myself to shift back into bad habits. Because like I said, it's very easy to do and not helpful. And then, on the other hand, I do, when I think about it, and it's not an everyday thing, I also have this sage spray, so I try to spray that. And the one that I have, Lanita said it has to be followed by whatever you want to put into the space after you cleanse it. Like if you want something for love or for peace or whatever, then you can find whatever and set the intention that that's what's allowed in that space from then on. So I do have these sprays that I use for that, and it's helpful too. But yeah, like when I'm holding on to other people's junk and not even realizing it's other people's junk until I start kind of sorting through it again. Anyway, I think that's what I got for today. I knew I wanted to do a video earlier, and then when I was getting ready to leave the house, my aunt was back on her beverage track, and I said no, I didn't want one. But then I didn't say anything else and was continuing to go about my normal routine, which is getting ready to walk the dogs. And if nobody's with me, I will normally choose to do a video over at the cemetery. But then when I was getting ready to leave the house, my mom's like, "Are you taking your aunt with you?" It's like, I guess I should ask, because I hadn't intended on it. I had fully intended on doing a video to talk about what was going on yesterday. But then, she was with me, and I think she's the only one that knows that I have anything like this going on, but she has never seen it. And she doesn't remember things very well, so shy of me talking about anything, I don't think she really thinks about it otherwise. But yeah, this is one of those things. It's like I'm still keeping it far away from my family, and I'm not going out of my way to share it with anybody at this point in time, because I'm still working to figure out what it's meant to be. Obviously, as I've said before and is in my little information, it's a blog. It's for the healing journey. So it's very much all that. But, I've shared it once with the class that I've been going to. And honestly, after I mentioned it, because I'd only done one new video at that point, everything else had been round one back in the fall, and I had deleted it back in December to take a break from it and give myself time and space to unwind, I guess. So when I started back, I had done one, and I mentioned it in the group, and somebody said, "Oh, what's your username?" It's like, oh crap, I hadn't expected anybody to actually be interested in it. But yeah, that's like the only time I've shared it. I mean, aside from with my cousin, and at first I would share with her anytime I did a video, and then I kind of stopped. It's like, you know what, if at this point, unless there's one that I talk about something that I really think we could have a conversation about or something, it's like she knows where it's at. She can find it if she wants. Otherwise, I'm not just advertising it. So it's one of those, just do it and see what happens. But mainly it's my process. It's the ups and downs and backs and forths, the whole mess of it. And as I gain clarity wherever I can on the path or on any other thing that I want to talk about, then I'll share that. But otherwise, I don't know. When it is time for it to do anything, then it will. And I'm not in a rush for that. What I kind of expect to happen, honestly, is this will continue for however long it continues until the universe decides it's time to, I guess, bring me and my twin flame together, and then it'll be more people are only interested in me because I'm connected with him all at once, and then because I suddenly show up one day, then people start looking into who the hell's this chick. And that doesn't bother me. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it's kind of funny, like one of the things I had thought about earlier, when I was thinking about doing a video earlier today, was the fact that I think in a couple videos ago, I made that comment about how I had to strip all the walls or all the posters off my walls back when I was in middle school, because I got to a point where I got like really agitated and paranoid at the thought of people watching me. It's like these are posters, and just because the people in them had eyes, it got really, really creepy, and I didn't want that around. And I still think this is going to be like a longer video when I go to focus on that one. But after I made the comment about how I don't like people watching me when I am not aware that I'm being watched or whatever, it's like, just the irony of that statement and the fact that I'm doing anything on YouTube. It's like, oh wait. And I think that this is hugely why I got to that point back in 6th grade. I mean, because this was an ongoing paranoia for a long time. And, even today, if it's dark outside, I'm going to go around and shut the curtains. But, just, we had, when I worked at the group home, one of my coworkers, she was married to a cop, and she said she wanted all the blinds open and everything so she could see if something was coming at her. It's like, but you can't see them if it's dark. And I don't know, that was just one of those things that it's been an ongoing thing, and I'll talk more about it another time, but I think this is hugely why I went through those experiences earlier on, because, you know, going along with the finding my voice topic and taking up my space in existence, because I didn't want to do that for the longest time. You know, and like I've said before, the first time I went live on Instagram, I cried because I didn't want to do those things. They freaked me out. And now it's just like, there's just a video journal, basically, and while it may not seem like it serves much of a purpose right now, you know, it makes me think back to that dream that kicked me back into the start of this YouTube again, when the girl in my dream said, you need to start sharing the message you already have, and then more will be revealed to you. And I think that is one of the big things with even the backsliding, is as I get some of this stuff sorted out and cleared from my system, then you know, it's doing more on a collective level as well. But it's more the stuff that I can see for me is more useful for me at the moment, but I know it does serve the collective at large a lot more than I even realize. Yeah. Anyway, I'll still probably do another video on that topic when I've spent some time skating and thinking more about that. Today I was just thinking about this other energies and went that route instead. So until the next time, as always, if you made it this far, and even if you didn't, I appreciate you. And until the next time, bye guys.